So, welcome to this webinar on marketing your QuickBooks Online integration. My name is Pierce Orajema, and also my co-presenter here today is Amy Ball. And we have both been with Intuit for a combination of, I think, 5 years. But I've been here for about 1.5 years, and Amy's been here longer because she is more awesome that way. And she is the apps.com Senior Marketing Manager, and she will be talking about doing the main segment on marketing your application, your QuickBooks Online application. So here is our general agenda for this session. The things you should know is a new section that I'm adding, and the goal is to just make sure everybody's aligned on messages that we've sent out in the past to just get everybody on the same page. Then we're going to have some information on QuickBooks Connect updates, then OpenID, why we require it, the main segment on how to successfully market your app on apps.com. The last, if we have time, I wanted to cover a quick note on cross-site scripting, and then we will have a segment on Q&A. So a couple rules for the road here to using GoToWebinar. There's a chat panel, and there's also a questions panel. You can use the chat to chat all you would like, and you can also use the questions all you would like. But please put questions that you would like us to answer or respond to directly in the questions section. We have several people here who will be answering questions while the webinar is in progress, and then I will, or Amy and I and David as well, will be answering questions at the end. So let's dive in. First thing you should know is we have a conference coming up, October 21st to 23rd. It's called QuickBooks Connect. It's focusing on small businesses, entrepreneurs, developers, and accountants. So it's going to be very large, and for more information you can go to or Google QuickBooks Connect conference. Also, another conference coming up is Solutions 14. That's happening in November. This is not an Intuit conference. It's just that I'm often asked to give recommendations on conferences that our developer base should attend or potentially sponsor, and this one is a really good conference to attend and sponsor. The next thing, this is timelines that I covered in our last webinar. As you'll see, the recommended submit for review date of September 1st has already passed, and the deadline of September 17th is right around the corner. So this is just a reminder, if you plan to get your app ready for QuickBooks Connect and listed on apps.com, please pay attention to the deadlines and try to get that submitted. I mean, honestly, if you're not submitting it like this week, today or tomorrow, then those are some warning signs. So let me know, let David know. My email address will be listed at the end of the webinar again, so you can utilize that to make sure that you guys are getting your apps listed before QuickBooks Connect, if that's a goal that you're trying to achieve. The next segment is, the next thing you should know is that we on the platform team are focusing on QBO versus QBD, and the main reasons why is the massive growth that we have seen over the years in subscription numbers, but it's not just subscription numbers to QBO that matters. What really matters to us is the connection numbers, the total app connections to the total users who are connecting to your applications. And as you can see, there's a large growth in QBO versus QBD. And one of the key things that I wanted to point out in this slide was the difference in growth. So as you can see, the difference in size from the blue arrow to the orange arrow. Now, some of you might call me out and say, hey, you're using a smaller line weight on that blue arrow. And to be perfectly honest, I had to, because any larger line weight just turned it into a triangle. It was so small. So the difference is multiple times for QBO versus QBD, and that's why we generally focus on QuickBooks Online, because it's going to bring you more users in the long run, even in the short run, as a matter of fact. Right now, today, there's multiple times more users coming on QB Online than for QBD. The last two things that you should know is we have a couple deprecations. This one has been, both of them have been in the works for months and months and months, but this one, the notification came out last December, so almost 10 months now, and the QuickBooks Online XML SDK is going, the endpoint, it uses a server endpoint on our side. It's going to stop working as of 9/23, so towards the end of this month. It probably doesn't affect you. We have notified everybody involved many times over, but if you need more information, there's the blog post that I've linked to in these slides. And as a reminder, because I get this question every single webinar, and I will remind you guys again that we will be sharing out this recording and the slides after the webinar, and we will do that on our blog that you can find at developer.intuit.com. The next thing you should know is another deprecation that we announced recently. So these are both technology deprecations. It has nothing to do with the end software, but the QBD REST API is another technology that we are deprecating. So the QuickBooks Desktop REST API. I refer to the blog post for more information. This has multiple years deprecation process, so about a 2.5-year deprecation process, but as of now, these are the days that you should be paying attention to. Again, so that's the end of the things we should know segment. Oh, just to clarify, that's a brief review of things you should already know. We're not going to be covering topics or really addressing or responding to answers on those. So if you have questions, then please submit them on our support channels or in refer to the blog posts for ways to get help if you have questions about what's going on with those pieces of information. So now, the next segment that was part of our agenda is the QuickBooks Connect update. So what's happening relative to you guys? What's happening for developers? Well, we're having a special pre-conference event, the hackathon, which is happening October 20th to the 21st, which is essentially the Monday and Tuesday before the conference. And here's a little schedule that we have. It's still up for change a little bit, but this is the general outline of what's going to be happening. Essentially, Monday, we'll be having breakfast, some presentations, and then lots and lots of coding. It'll be 24 hours of coding, so no need to sleep, right? I'm going to be one of the people staffing that, and I'm sure they're going to choose me to stay up late. I just know I'm going to be selected for those time frames. But either way, you guys can come, and if you register for the hackathon, you can code and have fun, and there will be awesome prizes, which will happen on Tuesday. There will be demos, judging, and a reception that will be happening in the evening, and where prizes and winners will be announced. And I believe that the overall winner will be announced the next day in the general session. So if you do something really cool, then you get stand up or be announced in front of everybody at the conference. And then the other main piece of information, if you're not attending the hackathon, then we have the main conference, which is going to have tons of things for you to be doing, but developer focused. There'll be 4 sessions focused on content for you. So as a segue into our main topic on marketing your QuickBooks Online integration, I wanted to review OpenID as an essential one of our requirements. So the last webinar, which I encourage you to go look at the recording that you can find on our blog, I talked about our workflows and requirements. The key piece that I want to talk about as a segue into marketing is user interface design. Why do we have this requirement overall? And I just want to walk through a couple simple examples. So the first example that I'm going to walk through is when a user lands on the app card, and this is going to be by the company CloudCart Connector. It's a really good use case, and it shows the value of our OpenID and OAuth flows and why we are advocates and have these required. So the user will click the Try It Now button. Then they will be prompted to authorize their application. So they click Authorize their application, and finally they land directly on CloudCart Connector's website, and they're able to start using the application right then and there. It is very clean, very simple, and they're having a good amount of success with their great user interface. Now I'm going to dive into an example, a bad example. Now, I don't mean to poke fun at this company or anything like that. They were grandfathered in before we had these requirements, and that's why they are essentially allowed to still be there. I have heard that they are working on improving this, so it'll be a good thing to look back on sort of how it was bad in the past. So this company is a Method CRM. By the way, it's a great application. It's just their onboarding process from apps.com doesn't use our OpenID the way they should, and it's having, and you'll see why it's not ideal. So like CloudCart Connector, they click Try It Now, they click the Authorize button, and then they land on Method's website. So now they're prompting for more information that we already have, that Intuit already has, and they're requesting them to create a password and a new account. So, okay, But then what happens? Well, then they need to, because of this complication, they need to link the accounts in an odd way. So now they have a couple more questions, and okay, so the user can probably answer that pretty simply. But then there's another prompt where they then need to connect to QuickBooks again, and then there's another prompt where they need to click Authorize, and I think that's the last one. Yeah, that's the last one where they land on Method's website. So as you can see, although Method is a great application, they're not using the OpenID and try-by flow from apps.com in the ideal situation by using the OpenID, and that's obviously going to affect their new user and conversion rates. Now this is their first use experience with OpenID. That doesn't even cover all the benefits that happen of the user being able to jump directly from QuickBooks Online into your application, which is just other added benefits that are pretty obvious. But this one is a less obvious user experience flow that I probably talk about 2 to 3 times a week with a lot of you guys. Okay, now we are going to move on into our main segment on the app marketing, where I'm going to hand it over to Amy. So I need to change presenters here. While I do that, I'm going to pop up another poll so you guys can have a transition while we get the presenters changed.
Are you seeing what is a marketing review?
Yep.
Slide?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry about that. So final step in getting your app listed, it's an opportunity for us in the marketing organization to learn more about your app, who it serves, what it does. And finally, it's a chance really for you guys to have a third party review your app card and the content that you have in there and provide feedback. I know as a developer, you have spent days and possibly months and years developing your app. You live every day with this app. And so sometimes it's a good thing to have a third party that doesn't understand your app as well as you do. Go in and read your content, look at your information, and maybe ask some questions and help you think about it in a little bit of a different light. So that's kind of what we accomplish in a marketing review. And once we finish your marketing review and we feel good about your app card and what's said on your app card, then we can go ahead and push your app card live on apps.com. So that the people that are out visiting the site and shopping for applications can view your app card. So what is an app card, really? You're probably all familiar maybe with app cards from the Google Store or the iTunes Store and so forth. But apps.com is our application shopping mall. It's a place where you can tell people about your app and what your app does. It's really your elevator pitch. It's how you get to tell customers in a short time what your app does and hopefully get them interested in your app and giving it a try. It's how apps and customers can connect their app, your app, to a QuickBooks file. So as Pierce showed earlier, we've got the Try It Now button on apps.com. So it's one of the ways that they can connect your app to their QuickBooks Online file. And finally, it's a way for customers to tell other small businesses about their experience with your app. So we have reviews enabled on app cards, and users can go in and write reviews about your cards, your app. They can tell other users how great your app is, how much time it saved them, how much it's really increased the efficiency of their business. They can tell people about the experience they've had working with your support organization, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just another way for users to share their experience. And I don't know about you, but I have a young daughter. She's 3 years old, and whenever I'm shopping for toys with her, I'm on Amazon.com, and I'm reading reviews all the time. What do people say about this toy that I think is interesting? Do they have a child that's my age? Do they like the toy? What do they say is good about the toy? What do they say is bad about the toy? So I really am a big consumer of reviews for toys for my daughter. When I travel and I'm in a city that I've never been to before, I always go to Yelp and read the reviews on restaurants. And I look for highly rated restaurants, and that's how I make selections about where to eat. So just as a consumer of different products, I definitely use reviews, and I think I'm not alone in that. So that's what an app card is. So now what I want to do is I really want to go in and talk to you about an app card. So I'm going to exit the slideshow mode right now, and I'm going to go into a live app card. Can everyone see the Invoice Sherpa Get Paid Faster app card on my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so Invoice Sherpa is an app that's live on apps.com right now. As you can see, they help small businesses get paid faster. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk you through all the different elements of an app card. So over here is your Try It Now button. And below the Try It Now button is pricing information. And as you can see, Invoice Sherpa has a free 30-day trial. And we highly recommend that you promote a free trial offer here in that area. If you have one, call it out and make it the first thing that you call out. I think the one thing that I would recommend adding here is no credit card required. So for me, I know having to enter a credit card, I'm probably going to forget to go back and cancel the trial. And so that's just a barrier for me to try things. So if you do not require a credit card, simply add no CC required. And then the user knows they can start a free trial. They don't have to worry about canceling if they don't like it. And it just eliminates one of the barriers of getting people to start using your application. He also has a customer testimonial that he lists. And then he says, plan starting at $9 a month. Keep the information in this area as concise and as short as possible because it does extend the area between up here and your description. And you want to make sure your description appears above the fold. And so I would actually, for this app card, even reduce it a little bit more, get rid of some of the extra lines, and possibly move this to another area, or just reduce the space in between. Then you've got your pricing details. When you click on the pricing details, this is where you can fill in information about all the different plans you have. If you have 3 different pricing structures, you can create a line item for each one, a small business plan, an office plan, an enterprise plan. So that's a great place to put in more details, and you can just keep it really concise up here. Then we have links to your terms and conditions and your privacy policy. So just make sure you get the right links in there, and that if the user does want to read terms and conditions of using your product, your end user license agreement, that you're taking them straight to that area on your website. And then below that, you'll see which QuickBooks products the app works with. So in this case, and in most cases going forward, you'll see works with QuickBooks Online. Over here, what you'll see is you'll see a summary view of all the reviews that have been posted to this app and how many stars it has. So you can see 9 reviews, 5 stars. You can write reviews from here. Your customers can write reviews from here. And you can actually ask to be notified of any new reviews that post to your app card from this. There's a short description of what the app does, and then there's the ability to link a demo video. So in this case, what Invoice Sherpa does is takes you to another tab to see their demo video. I actually recommend that you use the YouTube link with a pop-up window, and so your video will actually appear over your app card. You can watch it, and then the user can exit out of the demo and still be sitting on your app card. You can choose whichever way you want to do it, but my recommendation is to have the pop-up app card because then the user stays on your app card. You don't lose them and get distracted on another tab of their browser. Then you go down to the description, put a short description of what your app does, lead with the benefit of what your app does. So if your app is going to help someone save time by reducing data entry, that's what you should start with. Save time by X, Y, and Z. Because what the customer and the shopper wants to understand is, what is this going to do for me? How are you going to help me be more efficient and run my better business? So start with what that benefit is for the customer. And don't forget to mention that it works with QuickBooks Online. I look at a lot of app cards, and many of them don't even mention the integration with QuickBooks. Most shoppers are coming from QuickBooks, and they want to see that this does work with QuickBooks and that it's going to help streamline their operations. Below the description, we get into the features area. So you have a number of features, I think it's up to 6 or 7, that you can list. Each one has a header and then some text, and you can associate an image with that. I recommend keeping these short and concise. You don't want to see just a whole page of text here. You can do bulleting in this area if you choose to. Invoice Sherpa has some really engaging and colorful screenshots that they've added. So a user can click on the magnifying glass, and that will cause the image to get larger so people can kind of hone in and see what the experience will be like for them once they're using your app. So he's also incorporated some customer testimonials in here that can be very powerful. We recommend that you keep them so that they're not personally identifiable. So you might want to use first name and just the state, first name and first initial of the last name with the state. You want to make sure that people can't kind of search them down. So you want to keep them authentic but not give away too much information. So when a user comes on your app card initially, this is how it will look. They will see the description, the first feature, and then when they click on more, they will open it up and be able to see all of your features. So think about what is your most important feature and put that at the top. You don't need to list every feature here as well. List the most important ones and make sure you support the messaging over here with a really good engaging graphic on the right-hand side. The next thing you see on the app card is the reviews, and at the top is a summary of how many reviews and how many stars overall, as well as for ease of use, features, and value. And from here, a user can write a review about your app. So as I've said, reviews are very important for people that are shopping. It helps them understand what the app does. It allows them to relate to people who've written this app and say, hey, that sounds like me. I'm that kind of business, and this app has really helped that customer. I should check it out. It's a really great third-party selling point that can help. So think about how you ask customers for review as you're going through the life cycle with that customer. When a customer converts from a trial user to a paid user, they've given you their credit card information, they've signed up. Do you send them a welcome email and a thank you email? That might be a good time to ask them to review your app. Obviously, they like your app. They've given you the credit card. They're going to be paying for it going forward. Giving them a quick link to the area where they can review is a good idea in that. Do you follow up after someone calls you? Maybe they ask for some support help. Do you follow up with an email after that? Could you add a link to please review the app in that thank you email as well? Just think about the many ways and times that you communicate with your customers and how you can incorporate the request for writing a review in that experience. So when you get to the end of the reviews, then we have a short area around support and FAQs. So provides phone support, email, and chat during regular business hours, coast to coast, Monday through Friday. So he's very, very clear about the types of support that he provides and the days of that support as well as the hours. So, and then he lists his phone number, and you can also go to the website to get more information. And he also lists some FAQs. So do you have FAQs on your website? Are there certain questions that you're always asked by people that are reviewing or looking at your app or are just joining your family? List a couple of those FAQs on your website so people have a chance to kind of read more about your app, and it might reduce some of the support questions that you take on. So that's kind of a high level about marketing your app and what your app card is. I think it's great to have a really engaging image here that's colorful, that people can start associating with your brand and your app. And let me just go back to the slides now. I think I have one more slide to share with you. Put this in presentation mode. And can you guys see the presentation mode?
We're seeing the presenter view.
Okay. swap displays. My hazard with having two. So just as a recap, some essential information that you want to make sure that you have on your app card. I wanted to capture it here so you could see it written. You know, make sure you call out the free trial, the length, and if you have any credit card requirements, we strongly recommend not requiring a credit card. Links to your end user license agreement, terms of service, and privacy policy. Make sure you're taking them straight to those pages and not maybe to a home page where that information is listed on the bottom. Make sure that you mention the QuickBooks integration in the description area of your app, and you'll really focus on the key features of your app. When your app probably does hundreds of fabulous things, but there's probably 3 to 5 key features that most of your customers use. Call those out on your app card and really explain how those features can help customers be more efficient. Use engaging screenshots that can help tell your story, and then talk about your hours of operation and kind of the various support methods that you have available. So there's one other thing I want to share with you, actually. It's kind of a bonus for joining us on the webinar today. I'm going to go back to the Invoice Sherpa example. So there's a couple of things that you can do to enhance your app card. One is you can actually support chat. So here's a chat window. Invoice Sherpa has actually given us code for their chat program. We support OLARC and Snap Engage right now. And if you give us just your snippet of code, we can add it to your app card, and you can enable chat on your app card. So that's kind of something that you can do. Not everybody does that, but I think it's a great benefit for the customer. Maybe they're really interested in your app and there's just one thing that they need to get answered, so they could just do a quick chat with you, and hopefully that will get them over the hurdle, and they'll click it on the Try It Now button. The other thing that you can do is you can add tiles, we call them tiles, on the left-hand rail of your app card. You need to actually supply the graphics and the link to us. They're clickable overall. But you can add a couple of tiles over to the left-hand side. Maybe you have a case study that's very compelling that you think would help people understand more about your app and how it helped a small business. So you could maybe create a tile about that case study, and you could link people over to that case study on your website. If you host webinars on a regular basis for small businesses, maybe you have a monthly webinar or even a weekly webinar series, you could create a tile about that webinar series and put it up here, and we'll link them to the registration page. And you could also put chat over here as well. You could put a chat tile, and people could click on that, and it could start your chat functionality. So a couple of little extra tips that I wanted to share as a thank you for joining us on the webinar. Online chat or some tiles over here on the left-hand side of your app card. So I think with this, I'll turn it back over to Pierce.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys caught on to that, but the chat feature is a secret that we haven't really told anybody about yet. So you guys are the first to know, and really probably going to be the only group to know, because we're still kind of keeping it a secret. But so that's one of the benefits of joining this webinar today. I also just wanted to follow up a little bit on Amy's point with reviews, as reviews are extremely valuable. She mentioned that they're extremely valuable, but we have inside knowledge that, again, we're not posting publicly, but I'll tell you guys here, is that we see as high as 6 times conversion rates from the difference between 5-star reviews and lower star reviews. So keeping your star review in the 4 to 5-star range is going to be very important and really valuable to make users happy to utilize your app. So let me pop back into my presentation. So we do have time for that little bonus security piece that I wanted to talk to you about. Now, last session, I went through several security security issues that were listed to us by our third-party security review company. So they review all apps that get listed on apps.com for security issues, and they compiled the top security issues and sent them over to me. One of them I didn't have time to cover in the last session, was a little bit more complex one, but I just wanted to touch on this one really quickly, is cross-site scripting. So cross-site scripting is one of the top hacking ways that hackers are trying to get into your website and take advantage of data. And so you can see it's a little small, but in the bottom left-hand corner, about 12% of all hacking attempts from this website that I've linked to above are cross-site scripting. So if it's something that your team hasn't paid attention to or doesn't know much about, I highly recommend you go out and look into it. Again, I've linked to a site with good information on what it is and how to prevent from it. And there's a lot of information because it's kind of a complex topic. Again, we will be sharing out this recording and slides on a blog post later today or tomorrow. So that's where you'll be able to get to these links. Or you can just Google it, which is pretty much what I did. So now we are moving into our Q&A session. So you have David, who's been monitoring the questions, and I am just going to open up my question panel here and start addressing the ones that are going to be the most important themes. So the first question that I have is, we are already listed in apps.com. Do we still need to participate in QuickBooks Connect? Do you need to participate? No, you do not need to participate. The key thing is do you want to participate? And that's something for you guys to decide on your own, of course. We highly recommend it. It's going to be the largest in the world event like this that we have ever had or know of. But if you can't make it, that's fine, especially if you're in another country. It's just not quite practical to fly all the way over here for the event. But if you can make it, we highly recommend it. So let me mark that one as answered. Okay, next question is, why is OpenID required for all apps? For integrated apps that have many users, of which only one or two use QuickBooks, the OpenID feels like a roadblock. Even if implemented well, App Evaluator may not even have a QuickBooks login. That's a great question, and really the key is to remember where the user is coming from. So in the case, so if you want to be listed on apps.com, supporting the OpenID means you're going to get users from apps.com, and it's the apps.com user flow that you're supporting. So the user that's coming from QuickBooks is most likely the person who's going to be bouncing back and forth between your application and QuickBooks. So there's that use case. And then also they're going to be a QuickBooks user already coming from apps.com, and then they will pop into your application through the OpenID to make that experience flow better. So you are correct that there are going to be many users who will not be using OpenID, but from apps.com is the key here, and those users will be the ones who are going to have those QuickBooks logins. Next question. It's free. Is it free to listing on apps.com? Yes, it is free. It just takes a little bit of work to get all the requirements and integrations set up. So it's really valuable. We have a lot of applications that are having strong growth because of their listing on apps.com. It brings you additional leads, but also one of the keys is credibility. It's hard, if not impossible, to mention the additional credibility your app gets by being listed on apps.com and being a trusted app. Because a lot of accountants and small businesses are really worried about technology, so having the trusted brand Intuit behind you helps bolster trust in your application and increases conversions for you. Next question is, who can write a review? I believe anybody. Is there any restrictions, Amy, that I'm not familiar with?
No, there isn't at this time. We want people obviously using the app to write reviews. You, as the developer, are not to write reviews. We do use a third party to moderate our reviews. They're well known in the industry. They do moderation for many different brands, both consumer and business brands. But they go through and they review all reviews before they get pushed live to make sure there's no inappropriate content, no personally identifiable information, that it's not kind of a spam or marketing review. And they also have very complex fraud detection software on the back end. So each review before it's pushed live is moderated by a human being and run against fraud protection. And when it passes both of those, then those reviews are pushed live on apps.com.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Bazaar Voice, or well, that's the company we use, I believe, and they will definitely regulate if we have spam type reviews or if developers are writing their own reviews, so we keep those clean. Next question is, can you have Amy review the best way to post a video at the end of her presentation? Thanks.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So there's a couple of ways that you can post videos. I mean, you can have the video link open in another tab, another window of the browser, so that the user is taken off of your app card and into a new browser window. That's one way to do it. Or you can use YouTube. And YouTube will provide you, if you post your video on YouTube, one of the options YouTube will give you is a pop-up window URL. And if you use that pop-up window URL on your app card, that's how you kind of get that, that shadow box over your app card. It'll play your video in that pop-up window, and then the user can just exit out of the review, and they're still on your app card. They haven't been taken to another tab. That's the recommendation. There are partners that have just an opposition to YouTube because it can serve up competitive information or ads, and so they've selected to maybe use a page on their website or Vimeo or something like that. The choice is up to you. It's just my recommendation is use that YouTube pop-up so that they don't leave your app card.
Thank you, Amy. Do we have documentation anywhere on how to set up those videos?
There might be something on the developer portal, but I'll check on that, and we can get something added if there isn't.
Yeah, we should add it to the slides, a link to that page if there is one. So for those of you who are still paying attention, I have a little secret coming up, a little surprise that I'm probably not even allowed to do, but I'll do it anyways. So let me get through a couple more questions here. Is there a fee associated with those tiles?
No, there's no fee.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know what she means by tiles, but yes, there's no fee.
There's no fee for those tiles on the left-hand side that I showed you. And if you want to add those tiles, you simply send me an email, and my email is right there. Once your app card is live, you can send me an email that contains the graphic of the tile and the URL that you want that tile to link to, and I will work with our developer to get them added. What I don't want those tiles to do is take the user to a page on your website where they can sign up for the app. Those tiles are designed to enhance the experience of the web card, and so if there's information that doesn't work well on the app card, some of the things I talked about are, chat. You can put up a chat tile, a webinar series. If you have like customer success stories that you want to share, but simply taking them to your website to sign up for the app, we're not going to allow that. We want to allow things that enhance the app card.
Thanks. Okay, next question is, how do you clean up reviews? That is, how do you recover from bad reviews? Are there best practices? And of course, we don't want to have any bad reviews. Yeah, so essentially there's no way to clean up from bad reviews. We are not removing reviews unless they are offensive or clearly attacking in a bad way. So we will get rid of offensive reviews, but if you have a bad review of someone who doesn't like your app, the way to recover from that, of course, is to get a lot more good reviews. So what are the best practices around reviews? Well, the best practices around reviews follow different stages of your life cycle. So if you're just coming on board, generally or hopefully you'll have some sort of beta phase. And we highly recommend that for your beta testers, some of them are going to, for the integration, are going to request support or ask questions, or maybe you'll be working with them one-on-one. If they have a good experience, ask them for reviews. Now that's if you're coming on board. If you've been on board for 6 months, then how else do you get reviews? Well, the best way is if they send support tickets to you, then if they have a positive view at the end of the support ticket, which is kind of key, then ask them to submit a review for you. That is the best way to get 5-star reviews. And the key there is to make sure that they're happy customers. So you can get those reviews.
This is Amy. I also recommend that you respond to reviews that aren't fully positive. So you, as a developer, you will be badged as a developer, and you can respond to to reviews that are posted on your app card. So you can thank people for posting positive reviews. If people post a review that isn't maybe positive, maybe they've got suggestions or they're complaining that there aren't features available, as a developer, that's just another voice of the customer channel for you. You can hear what they have to say, and you can respond to them and thank them for the feedback and let them know it's something that we're considering. I can come back to you when we add that feature. Don't commit to anything that you're not going to do, but you can at least respond to that review and thank them for providing you with the feedback, and that you'll consider the suggestions that they've given you. And that just shows that you're really engaged with your customer base. So I strongly recommend responding to negative reviews and positive reviews as well.
Thank you. Next question. Does this mean Intuit must review and improve all apps? Yes, we do review and approve all apps that are listed on apps.com. However, you can publish in what we call a private listing, which means you can do all of the promotions on your own and have as many user connections as you'd like. It's just simply not listed on our pages. So we go through a technical review, a security review, and a marketing review for all of the apps that are listed on apps.com. We do not, the review is really not that bad, actually. So if the fear is that you will be denied because of the review, then I highly recommend don't worry about it. We have a lot of great resources to help make sure you have the requirements in place to be listed. And once you get all those requirements and pass the requirements, then you're all set to be listed. It's really not that. It's really quite easy once you have all the requirements in place. Next question is, can you provide a size dimensions for the app image logo and the size of the tiles on the left side, please?
So the size for the tiles is 226 by 300. And I'll add that to the slide before we post it so that you guys have that information.
Okay, so I ran out of red flags to read here, David. So let me know what other questions you want me to address.
Well, you have your secret you want to share.
Oh, yes, thank you for reminding me. So there's a secret. Okay, so I got this email a little less than a week ago from the VP that says, hey, you have this link for a friends and family discount. So I'm pretty sure he didn't intend for me to give this presentation in front of 100+ people. But if you guys want to participate in my ability to get a friends and family discount as a developer, my email address is right there. So ping me an email and maybe I'll send you a link over. Oh, by the way, I guess it's a discount of what, right? What am I talking about? It's a discount to the QuickBooks Connect conference. So hopefully I don't get in trouble for that one. So that's a little secret. So send me an email, and I'm not sure how long this program is going to be up or until I get yelled at for doing this, so the sooner the better, and take advantage of it as soon as you can. And there actually is another topic that I wanted to cover quickly, which was I mentioned this in the last webinar, but it goes hand in hand with marketing, is we have a disconnect experience. When a user disconnects from your application inside of our tools, say QBO or on apps.com, they can disconnect from your application. We provide a feature that most other platforms don't, or that I do not know of. Essentially, we allow you to land them on a disconnect page of your own. So this is an opportunity, a marketing opportunity for you to win back this customer. So it's going to happen. Users are definitely going to disconnect, and you want to try to take advantage of that from a marketing standpoint to win back those customers.
We have one more question too around, is apps.com and Marketplace both the same thing? So no, they're not. Apps.com is really our current marketplace for apps that work with QuickBooks Online. Marketplace is one of our older shopping experiences, and that is not fully up to date, and that will Marketplace will eventually go away. So they are different shopping experiences. Apps.com is for apps that support the API.
I do have another question here. What is the maximum number of tiles? Amy, what is the maximum number of tiles?
So I recommend 3 to 4 at the most. Some of them, if you do put 3 or 4, they'll probably be below the fold. So you want to put your most important tiles on the top. You don't have to have tiles. Many app cards do not have tiles. 4 would be the maximum. And just think about what's most important and put those ones on the top. You would need to tell me which one, the order you'd want them in.
Okay, thank you, Amy. One of the questions that we actually get a lot, so I want to address this one, is how long does a review typically take? And that's a great question. Essentially, there's the difference between a prepared application and not prepared. So if you are prepared, it takes as little as a week and a half. We'll go through all the reviews. Everything will go very smoothly. If you're not prepared, however, then that can extend into infinity, because maybe you'll just never make the changes that need to happen or never meet the requirements. So usually it's not into infinity. Usually it's 2, maybe 3 weeks to get through the review process if you're not 100% prepared. So I'd kind of set that expectation in place. And that's, if you go back in this session or the previous session where I covered more on the timelines, you can see what a timeline looks like from our standpoint. Say if you wanted to be listed before a specific event or before a specific date, how long before you should submit for review so that you can get completed on time. So that's part of that process that you can review to kind of get a judgment of what our recommendations are.
Someone also asked if you can, a trial user can submit a review, and they definitely can submit a review.
Okay, how many minutes do we have left here? We have about 3 minutes left. Is there any questions that I have missed that David has marked for me? David, feel free to speak up if there's anything that I missed that you would like us to address. So while David might be doing that, I'm going to remind everybody that, or actually take note that after this session I'm going to send out a survey. So the survey is really important. It's so important that I've pushed to have my bosses allow me to give the information back to you. Not only the information, but what actions and changes we are going to take to make things different. And so for this webinar, we took several different changes based on your feedback. And this, we again are going to send out a survey and would really like to know what your feedback is, both positive and negative, so we can really understand how to improve in the future about the content, about the presenters, about the content that was presented, the format, etc. So please respond to the survey and give it a couple weeks, and then I will have the survey results up, and you can see how you contributed to bettering the experience for yourselves and other developers across the board. So David, do we have anything else? I think we're at the 10:59 mark, at least California time, so I will call it quits. Again, my email address is listed here, and so is Amy's, so you can email us if there are any questions that we did not address that you still are looking for answers to. And also there is a support channel inside of developer.intuit.com for more help. Thanks everybody for attending, and have a great rest of the day, week, and weekend.